Forecasters have now changed their minds about how the rest of this year's hurricane season is likely to play out, and it's not in a good way. The people at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration had said it would be an average year for hurricanes because of El Nino. But now the water in the Gulf of Mexico and parts of the Atlantic, it's so warm, they say, we can expect more hurricanes this fall. Joining us from Dartmouth for a closer look is Chris Fogarty of the Canadian Hurricane Centre. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Let's talk about this new forecast, calling for a 60% chance this hurricane season will be worse than average. What should we expect over the next couple of months?
Yeah, certainly for Canada, here in Eastern Canada, our busiest season, part of the season, certainly is during September. And as you mentioned, these warmer than normal water temperatures that we're experiencing this year are the primary reason for the increase in the forecast. The El Nino is still occurring in the Pacific. That tends to calm things down a bit, but these warmer waters are the main reason for the change.
I want to expand on that a little bit. Let's talk about this recipe, because usually El Nino in the Pacific Ocean means a quieter hurricane season in the Atlantic because it disrupts upper air patterns around the world. But the difference, as you mentioned, is the temperature of the water. So explain what's happening.
Yeah, certainly, like warmer waters are basically what drive these hurricanes. So if you've got extra warm water, then the inhibitive effects of El Nino are kind of overpowered by the warmer water. It still might prevent some of the hurricanes from getting extremely intense because the wind levels in the upper atmosphere from El Nino tend to prevent, the Category 4 and 5 storms. So hopefully that'll be the case, but the number of storms out there could be above normal still.
With this new forecast in place now, in your opinion, how prepared are we for an increased number of storms?
Certainly in Eastern Canada, where it has been so busy in the past decade, we've had a number of strong hurricanes make landfall. Last year, Fiona was, of course, the big. So just the fact that that big event occurred last year, people are, in a more state of readiness. They're probably thinking of longer term things to protect their property. So not waiting for the storm to be in the news, because we try to emphasize that to people, because some of the stuff that you need to prevent your damage on your property, you have to think about ahead of time, flooding and tree damage.
And Chris, one of the conversations I remember having quite a bit around Fiona, when Fiona hit, was the infrastructure and buildings and how that is structured right now and how we need to improve that in the future. What are your concerns around the infrastructure that we currently have in place?
Yeah, one thing like this year with a lot of the wharves and a lot of shoreline damage as well, particularly the northern Nova Scotia PEI, it's going to take a few years to build some of those, breakwaters and erosion barriers, build them back up. So we're kind of exposed a bit also with a lot of the trees that blew down last year. We're a bit more exposed to wind in some of the coastal areas. So it's going to take a few years for us to, recover from that particular storm. But, urban planning, they're thinking ahead now with climate change and more active storms and building the breakwaters a little bit higher because we know sea levels are rising. That's one of those, predict. We see it happening and we kind of have a good idea what it will be like in 50 years or 100 years.
Well, Chris Fogarty, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.